Hello guys, welcome back to another video in our type introduction to TypeScript series. So in this video, we're going to go over and cover the concept of interfaces in TypeScript and how interfaces can be used. So what is an interface in TypeScript? Well, to give you a better definition, let me just open up the documentation, official documentation of TypeScript, and it says an interface declaration is another way to name an object type. Basically, we also see how see the keyword type, and you'll look at it in the previous video. So this is another way of declaring types in TypeScript, like a user custom types, right? So let's go ahead and show you how we can use interfaces in TypeScript. So this will we end up from last time we talked about enum. So I'm just go ahead and delete this. We're going to talk about interfaces. So interfaces in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and create an interface. So use the keyword interface to create an interface, and I'm going to call this interface blog post. Okay. So let's say that I'm having I'm building an application that enables users to be able to post blogs and other stuff like that. And I'm going to be getting the data from maybe MongoDB, right? I'm getting the data from MongoDB. I can define an interface that is going to be I can use as a type whenever I am accepting data into my program. Okay, so I'm just going to give an example. Let's say we have each blog is going to have an ID, and the ID is going to be of type string. Each blog is going to have an author. Let's say a title, and it's going to be of type string. We're going to have an author, and author is going to be of type author is going to be of type string as well. So let me just get that right. String. Okay, string. Let me just close that proper. It's actually the use of this and not semicolons. No, not commas. Okay. So once I have that, I have also each block is gonna have a content. So title content is gonna be of type string. So let me just move this one above here and then close this off so it's make a logical sense. Okay, so like in logical order, and then I have the date in which the post was created. So this is going to be the date is gonna be of time string, right? So string. You're also going to go ahead have a like post. So like post can be this also in interface can also have a function. So interface is just like a contract that you must accept whenever you try to basically we haven't talked about the concept of inheritance just in object-oriented programming. That's why I want to use the concept of inheritance in here. But basically whenever a class is going to be of type a certain instance, then it must redefine all these things. So this is just like providing a layout of what it's supposed to be, and then once you inherit this or you create a type of this interface, then you go ahead and or make sure that you have all this defined. Okay, so you're going to have functions in here. So I'm going to have a function called post, and it's going to be an arrow function. So this can be a simple arrow function that returns void, and you can also have another one which is called, so let me just call it like count, and like count is going to return to us the count of likes, and it's going to return to us a number type. So it doesn't have two ways you can define it, either this syntax or this syntax. It all works. Okay, and also we can have output. I can say output ID, and output ID you can go ahead and simply say the following. So it's going to be an ID type. So it's going to be a function again taking an ID. It's going to be of type string, and then finally it's going to return to us a string. Okay, so string. Okay, so this is a simple interface. Okay, so just creating a simple interface with these properties or attributes. Okay, so once I have this interface created, now I can create an object of this interface. So once to create an object of this interface, the object must have all this defined within it, right? So that an interface act like a layout, right? A blueprint. So if you want to build something, if you want to build a house, right, you first build a blueprint of the house, and then if anyone wants to see the actual house, right, an object of that blueprint, then they have to follow the blueprint one to one. So that's something similar to it. Again, I explained this tomorrow when you go to the type of when you go to the concept of classes, objects, inheritance, and all that. I'll explain this in much details. Okay, so this is just an intro. So once I have this one, I'm going to go ahead and create an object. I'm going to call this one blog underscore 01, and it's going to be of type blog post. Okay, blog post. Let me say blog post just like this, and okay, this is actually const just like this, and then we'll type blog post, and it's going to be equals to, and then finally we have the following right here. So we're going to have an ID, and the ID is going to be of the following. So I'm going to say 39 I give me say some random values right here. So some random values right here, and then once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and pass in other attributes. So I have the ID, I have the author, and then the author is going to have, you can give it a name. So I'm going to say John Doe is the author of this specific post, and you can also go ahead and specify maybe let's see, we have the author, we have the title of the post. So the title is going to be, let's say, first blog post. Okay, so I have the ID, the author, and all that specified. So let me just move this one up, and then comma, and then in here I'm going to, let me see, it says author, where I'm getting right there. did you mean outer? So okay, I got the spelling right here wrong. So let me just change that. Okay, so I have the this spelling there. So I have the content as well. So content, and it's gonna be, let's say, first blog posts content, just like that. And then finally comma, and then I go to the next line. I also need to write in the date. The date is going to be a string, so let me just pass in any, let's say this one, 02, just a random date, right? 2023. Okay. And then I also need to pass in the like. You see, if I don't, I have to pass in everything that this interface describes. So if I hover here, you can say, if I say, let me just go ahead and delete this, you can see right here it says type. We need all this. We need it's missing the block, the like post, like count, and all this. So we need to define this as well. So let's have another let's define this right here, like post. So we can say like post, and this is going to be like post, and like post is going to be of the following. So it's going to be an arrow function, and this arrow function, what it's simply going to go ahead and do is not is going to return to us void. So we can just go ahead and say console dot log, and we can log out something, right? So let's just say this is going to be, so you can say liked post. So you can, in here you can have a functionality that actually gets the post to be liked, like sending basically changing some information on a database and something like that, right? So I'm just keeping this simple, okay, because I don't want to go in depth about those things. Okay, we'll cover more about interface when we reach the part of object-oriented program. Okay, so I'm going to return this with just one. Okay, so I have to follow the definition right here. So you can see this like count is returned to us the count of likes that the post have. Like if the post have 20 likes, it's going to return to us that. So you have to return a number. So that's why I'm returning in here a number. Okay. Okay, once we have that, you can also go ahead and finally pass in the last one, which is going to be the output ID, and the output ID is going to return to us a string, right? Takes in an ID, so let's say takes in an ID, and ID is going to be of type string, and what it's going to go ahead and do is simply return the following. So it's going to go ahead and simply return an ID. That's a token. That's basically that function. So now we have our interface created, and we've also implemented that interface to create an object. Okay, so good. So this object follows all the specifications that the interface has provided. So that's basically what interfaces provide specifications, and any object that is going to be of type the interface must implement all those specifications. So that's basically it, how you can create an interface. So it's just like there you have the type one which you saw in the last video, but now this one is or has some advantage over the type one, and we'll see that when we reach the point of the differences between the interfaces and types, because they have a difference. Okay, so once you have seen this simple example of how an interface works, there's also something very common in TypeScript called reopening an interface, or interface reopening. This is simply adding new features or properties to an existing interface. So let's say you want to add more features to this interface that we currently have. So adding those new features to it is called reopening the interface. So let's say I'm going to go down here. Let me just keep a comment. So say reopening reopen interface, just like that. So how do you reopen an interface? Basically, you say interface again, the interface keyword, the name of the interface, the same name the same name of the interface that you want to reopen. Basically, add new attributes to. So these are just terminologies used in TypeScript. Basically, they're not nothing that important. So deleted, you're going to go ahead and say date deleted is going to be of type string, and also we are going to say date updated is also going to be updated is going to be of type again string, right? So good. So you can see I have this interface. I've reopened the interface and added to it two more attributes or two more properties. So now this object now has to implement those two things I've added. So let me just copy this right here, copy this and paste it a couple of times. So let me just paste a couple of times and move this down here. So this is going to be date, this is going to be date deleted, and this one is going to be date updated. So that's basically it. So now you can see down the error is gone because we have implemented everything that the original interface was, and whenever we reopen the interface, we also added some new attributes that we also provided inside of the object. Okay, so the object has implemented those attributes as well. So now you can see everything works fine. So that's how whenever you hear the concept of interface reopening or reopening an interface, that's what they mean, basically adding new attributes to an existing interface, right? So the things you can do in interface, you can also have interface inheritance. So how do you inherit an interface? Basically, to inherit an interface is very simple. So if you've ever done object-oriented programming, we have the concept of inheritance there. So it also applies to interfaces here. So inheritance. So to inherit an interface, just create a new interface, inheriting, and then you inherit an existing interface. So I'm going to go ahead and say comment, right? So comment, each comment is going to have the comment ID, the title of the comment content, the author of the comment, the date it was published, how many people like the comments, the likes of the comments, output the ID of the comments, dates delete the comment was deleted, the date the comment was updated. So we want to also create another interface, but the other interface is going to have all the specifications as well. So why do you have to go ahead and simply type it out again? So that's where the concept of inheritance came in. You can just go ahead and inherit it from an existing interface. So I'm going to say comments, and it's going to be extends. So sorry, extends, and you're going to go ahead and say extends the blog interface. So that's basically it. And this new interface can have its own stuff. So we can say each comment is going to be attributed to a given post, right? So let's say comment to, and then pass basically a string. So this is going to be a comment to a given post, right? So you can inherit it and then pass in a new comment. So now if you go ahead and create a comment, right, this one, then you have to go ahead and say comment to. So if I can just copy everything right here, because our new the comment interface is going to also need to implement those as well. So let me just keep it above here. So paste it right here, and I'm going to call this one comment one. So there's going to be comment underscore one. So what do we need to implement in comment one? We also need to have, need to say that this one will be of type comment, comment, comments like this. And now we need to pass in comment to which post. So you say comment to, and you say just pass in any random ID. So let's say comment to this specific post as well. So comment, and then pass this comment to a given post. Okay, so that's basically how we can implement that inheritance in using interfaces. So that's basically how inheritance work in interfaces. Okay, again, this is just very basic. As we go along, I will show you more and more interfaces. Okay, so is there, can you do multiple inheritance in interfaces? Is that something that's possible to do multiple inheritance? Okay, so let's say that you have two interfaces and you want to inherit from interface to multiple interfaces. Is that possible in this? Okay, so actually let's try it out. I'm going to have another interface right here. I'm going to call it let's say interface. I don't have any name for instance, interface one, and I'm going to simply define, let me just leave it to be empty for now. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it's going to inherit from the blog post, and also going to inherit from the interface one. So is that possible? Yes. So multiple inheritance works in interfaces. So you can see multiple inheritance works, and this time you didn't get an error because this interface does not have any specifications that we have to implement in the object of that interface. So basically it works fine, right? So multiple inheritance is supported within interface in TypeScript. Okay, so that's how multiple inheritance can work. Again, don't worry about this if you don't understand it in depth. If you go into the concept, interface is a very, very important concept in TypeScript. So make sure that you watch this video again till you understand the concept of interfaces. But we'll cover more then whenever you go to object-oriented programming, and we'll go into advanced TypeScript. We'll look more into interface, because interfaces are really crucial that you understand them to in order to work with TypeScript. So yeah, guys, that's all I wanted us to talk about in this video. Again, one thing before we even end the video: what's the difference between an interface and a type? Because if you watch the last video on type, you can say this is just like type, because in type the only difference is we have to say type. That's all we have to do, right? So what's the difference between a type and an interface? So let's just go out of your documentation and explain this to you. So this is the difference between a type and an interface, right? So you can read more about this, and I'm going to you can find this on the show documentation. You just go to everyday types and then go to the difference between types type aliases and I don't know, this is ladder. Yeah, so that's basically how you can find it out, how you can find more the difference between types and interfaces. So let's say an interface, extending an interface, extending type via intersection. So okay, these are one of the difference between an interface and a type. So this is how you extend an interface, and to extend a type, this is how you extend a type. Okay, and we saw this in the last videos how you can extend a type. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like the video, as one easy way you can support the channel. Let me know a comment in the section below, whether a positive or negative comment. They all contribute to the growth of the channel. And also share this content with anyone who you think might find it helpful. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.